Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Friday, October 22nd. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Indiana game is in one day, the game against Michigan in 36 days. The Indiana game was the one that decided the Big Ten East title last year, but the Hoosiers are pretty much already out of title contention in 2021. So with an opponent with a losing record on deck and following an off week, it's probably fair to wonder exactly how locked in the Ohio State team might have really been this week. This is one of those shows where you're going to hear directly from Ryan Day. So we're going to start with his answer on exactly that question. How locked in is the team really this week?
I do. Yeah, I thought we had a good week of practice, good energy this week, but now we got to go put it on the field. So we'll see. And that's what matters. Just playing Saturday night and playing well, starting fast against a good Indiana team, and going on the road and get another conference win. So I do feel that way. But we'll see, because like we say, we prepare, we compete, and then we learn. And now it's time to go compete again Saturday night.
One source of motivation for Ohio State is probably the fact that they remember what happened against Indiana last year, where after jumping out to a massive lead in the third quarter, the Hoosiers came almost all the way back and had the ball with a chance to tie the game in the final minutes. So what did Ohio State learn from that?
We just didn't do a very good job of finishing the game. We went up big early on in the game, and, a defense that's designed to stop explosive plays, and we gave up too many explosive plays, let them back into the game, and didn't execute down the stretch on offense. That's really what happened. So we got to play like we did in that first half and continue to play a full 60 minutes. We've really never been in a game with Indiana we didn't have to play for four quarters, and so we're gonna have to do that again on Saturday night. This is a very good team, and they've played against some really good teams. All the four of their losses against top 25 teams, and I think maybe when they played them, they were top 10 teams. So they've played some really good teams, and they're a good team as well. So, we're going to have to be really on our game.
If you are fortunate enough to not have watched much Indiana football this year, the Hoosiers don't do much of anything on offense, but their defense is still pretty solid. And they are known, as all Tom Allen defenses are, for bringing blitzes from all sorts of angles. The Buckeyes obviously need to be prepared for that, but is that something you can actually overthink and maybe even over-prepare for? And also, what is the craziest blitz that Ryan Day has ever seen?
It's like you said, it's all in moderation. You can't go over the top with it, because then you get yourself out of whack. In terms of craziness on blitzes, typically they can bring four, they can bring five, or they can bring six. They really can't bring much more than that unless, you bring more guys into protection. So they either put a safety in the middle of the field and bring five, or they'll take a safety out of the field, play zero, and bring six. Sometimes they'll bring simulated pressures, which means they can bring certain guys, but then drop other guys out. Yeah. And that's typically, how it's done. And these guys are very aggressive, and they're very good at it. And, when you're dealing with teams like this, sometimes it can be high risk, high reward. And you just have to make sure that you cut your losses when they do, get home with a blitz.
One of the things Ohio State used last week's off week to do was sort of consolidate some of the changes they had made during the first part of the season, especially on defense. The Buckeyes kind of overhauled their defense in a lot of different ways mid-season, which is not an easy thing to do. So were they able to do a little bit more defensive install during that off week to just sort of consolidate what they had done earlier and make sure guys were a little more comfortable with it?
We haven't switched everything up. We have changed some things for sure. And it just allows us to kind of repaint the bridge on a lot of those things that, like you said, maybe you put something in week 3, week 4 that was new, and you only have a few days to kind of get that ready for Saturday. Bye weeks gives you an opportunity to get in there and just kind of dig into the details of those things so that you have them ready for the second half of the year and you understand them a little better. But then also look at some other things and possibly changing things up on either side of the ball, because you're going to need those change ups, certainly in this game and a bunch of the games coming down the tube here.
One of the units that has seen a lot of change this year is the linebacker room. You've had Dallas Gant and Kayvon Pope both leave the team. You've seen a lot of younger guys emerge as that position kind of shifts and adapts, and it's even changed its role in the scheme a little bit as you've seen the traditional Sam role give way to the bullet and sort of different players in that spot, and now that spot's in the safety room. So with a lot of those changes in the linebacker room, and frankly, the linebacker play just not being Ohio State caliber at the start of the season, it sounds like from talking to players early week that there's a real sense of urgency in that linebackers room. How has Day seen that play out this season?
I think that now they have some experience, and that really matters, because when you come in, there's so many things that come into play. You're just not sure of a lot of things, and you're not sure yourself. But now, that they do have some of these snaps under their belt, like you said, they're kind of steadying themselves. But they got a bigger challenge ahead of them. We got some really good offenses we're about to play, and some really good teams, in the second half of the season. And, so it's going to have to start again Saturday night. And again, every time they play, I feel like they're getting a step better.
Day has talked about the unusual number of true freshmen already contributing to the team this season. He mentioned that there could be even more who emerge in the back half of the year. So who does he have in mind when he says that?
It just depends on situations with injuries and what comes up in games. There's a bunch of guys who I think have been practicing very, very well. You saw what Emeka did last week, and Marvin Harrison's been practicing at a high level. We've seen Evan Pryor do some things. Seen Jordan Hancock get better week in and week out. So where do these guys get an opportunity? You don't know, but we see some of these younger guys working hard to have a chance. Mike Hall's been really practicing well. So maybe they're going to start getting some more reps based on the situation. A lot of things can happen in these last 6 games, but I see a bunch of guys who are getting better because they're practicing better.
And freshmen are not the only ones that could be added back into the lineup, and soon. There are veterans who could be back as well. Earlier in the week, Day said that Haskell Garrett and Cam Brown were both on track to play this weekend. And then on Thursday, when he was asked about Tyreek Smith, Day sounded pretty optimistic about him as well.
Yeah, a veteran player who has a lot of ability. And I know this is going to be a big stretch for him. He's had a good week of practice, and looking forward to seeing him out there. But this is important for him. I know he wants to finish his career the right way and play really well for us and produce at a high level. And, he's highly motivated and always has been. So it's good to get him back on the field.
Before he talks to us on Thursdays, Day hosts his weekly radio show. And one of the things he mentioned on that radio show Thursday morning was the team had switched from using just iPads for their game plans to good old-fashioned binders full of paper. That happened after the second or third week of the season. Day wasn't quite sure when it happened, but why make that move? Here was his answer.
It was just something that, I wanted to streamline. I don't know if it was after 2 or 3. It just felt like, after, last year and just the last couple of years, we've done a lot of stuff on the iPads, and I just felt like it was the right thing to do to kind of rebite on, how we were going through our game plans and how guys were studying. Just felt like it was the right thing to do. It also helps the coaches, I think, because, when you actually have to write it down on paper, do it, organize it, you just understand it all better. And I think it's a good process and something we've done in the past before. And so, everything we do now is so easy because you just kind of put it on an iPad and, you can find it. But there's something about writing something down on a piece of paper and handing it and holding it that I think is different. So it's something that we just wanted to do, and we're going to continue to do.
The last thing that Day was asked about is one of those pieces of college football minutia that some people find really interesting for some reason: bed checks. So the night before the game, both home and away, players are in their hotels, and they have to be in their hotel room by curfew time. And then the coaching staff goes around to each room. And yes, it is about partially enforcing that curfew and making sure guys really are, thus bed checks. But it's also a chance to see how locked in the guys are and just kind of take the temperature of the team as you're sort of meeting in with them kind of one-on-one or one, just with a small group face to face the night before the game. So is that a sort of a side benefit to those bed checks? And also, has Ryan Day ever had a player miss a bed check? Here were his answers on those questions.
I don't think I've ever been in a room where we're missing a guy. Quinn Temple, Brian Voltolini, CJ Barnett. I think they go through and do a little sweep before, make sure everybody's there when I walk in, so we don't have that type of problem. But it's one of my favorite things to do, to go through the night before the game, look the guys in the eye, and give them a little something, and obviously wish them a good night's sleep and get some rest, because tomorrow's the day we go do what we love to do. And when we're on the road or at home, it's something I enjoy.
The Buckeyes and Hoosiers will kick off Saturday night at 7:30 on ABC, so you can see the game there. But you can also check out all of our pregame and postgame coverage at youtube.com/BuckeyeScoop. Tony Gerdeman and Kevin Noon and I will have all sorts of shows before, after the game. We're probably going to do something on Friday at some point as well. The best way to make sure you don't miss any of those is by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Just hit that bell or hit the little Buckeye Scoop logo that's going to pop up at the end of this video. That'll subscribe you to our channel to get notified as soon as we post a new video, as soon as we go live on one of those live streams. That is the best way to make sure you don't miss anything. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.